That's right. It's actually Oram Street. Greenville Avenue and Oram. It's 1 block south of Trader Joe's, so please join us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Sri Radha Kalachandjidam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrind Ki Nitai Ghar Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Thank you. We'll continue reading from Canto 9, Chapter 20, titled The Dynasty of Puru. We'll do text 17 through 22 today, and we'll focus on text 21. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can do the prayers together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadev, the author. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Okay, we are on text 17, which is continuation of the section that we started yesterday. So this is speaking about Dushmanta, King Dushmanta and Shakuntala. Yeah, King Dushmanta met Shakuntala in the ashram of Kanva Muni. That's where we stopped yesterday. They got married according to the Gandharva way of marriage, and we'll continue from that from there today. So can somebody read translation for text 70? Yes.
King Dushmanta, who never discharged semen without a result, placed his semen at the night in the womb of his queen, Sakuntala, and in the morning he returned to his palace. Thereafter, in due course of time, Sakuntala gave birth to a son.
In the forest, Kanva Muni performed all the ritualistic ceremonies concerning the newborn child. Later, the boy became so powerful that he would capture a lion and play with it.
Shakuntala, the best of beautiful women, along with her son whose strength was insurmountable and who was the partial expansion of the Supreme Godhead, approached her husband Dushmant.
When the king refused to accept his wife and son, who were both irreproachable, an embodied voice spoke from the sky as an omen and was heard by everyone present.
The voice said, "O Maharaj Dushmanta, a son actually belongs to his father, whereas the mother is only a container, like the skin of a bellows. According to Vedic injunctions, the father is born as the son. Therefore, maintain your own son and do not insult Shakuntala."
The last verse for today.
O King Dushmanta, he who discharges semen is the actual father, and his son saves him from the custody of Yamaraj. You are the actual procreator of this child. Indeed, Shakuntala is speaking the truth.
Yeah. So after they got married and their marriage got consummated, Dushmanta had to leave to his kingdom. So he had come to the forest, and the forest is where he met Shakuntala. And both of them wanted to get married to each other. They got married in the Gandharva way. And after the consummation of the marriage and he left to his kingdom, Shakuntala begot a son. And it is said the son was so powerful that he would capture lions for fun. That's how strong he was. His name is Bharat, and this dynasty is important because it is in this dynasty that we see the Kurus. So it is the dynasty of Bharat that the Kurus appear. And you can see the whole earth is called Bharatavarsha. So it is named after him. And also the country of India is called Bharata. So this is also named after this king called Bharata. But there was a problem with him becoming a king because his father had left after marriage. And when the child was born and when the child was taken to his kingdom, he didn't really accept him. This is what's happening in this section. When Shakuntala went with his son Bharata to meet Dushmanta in his kingdom, he basically said, I don't know who you are. I don't know if this is my son. And then voice, unembodied voice, it's called Ashariri. Shariri means one who has a body. Ashariri means one who doesn't have a body. So spoke and said that, no, Dushmanta, this is really your son. So that's the verse that we'll be reading today, text 21. We go to the, okay, Sanskrit is already there. So this is the verse where the Ashariri is speaking. Mata Bashtra Pithu Putro Ena Jata Sa Evasa Bharasva Putram Dushmanta Mava Mamsta Shakuntalam Mata Bastra Pitu Putro Ena Jata Sa Evasa Bharasva Putram Dushmanta Mava Mamsta Shakuntalam. Please chant. Mata Bastra Pitu Putro Ena Jata Sa Evasa Putram Dushmanta Mava Mamsta Shakuntalam. Bharasva Putram Dushmanta Mava Mamsta Shakuntalam. Mata Bastra Pitu Putro Ena Jata Sa Evasaha Bharasva Putram Dushmanta Mava Mamsta Shakuntalam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mata, the mother. Bhastra, just like the skin of a bellows containing air. Pitu, of the father. Putra, the son. Hena, by whom. Jata, one is born. Saha, the father. Eva, indeed. Saha, the son. Bharasva, just maintain. Putram, your son. Dushmanta, O Maharaj Dushmanta. Ma, do not. Avamsta, insult. Shakuntalam. Shakuntala. Translation. The voice said, "O Maharaj Dushmanta, a son actually belongs to his father, whereas the mother is only a container, like the skin of a bellows. According to Vedic injunctions, the father is born as the son. Therefore, maintain your own son and do not insult Shakuntala." Purport. According to the Vedic injunction, Atma vai putra namasi, the father becomes the son. The mother is simply like a storekeeper because the seed of the child is placed in her womb. But it is the father who is responsible for maintaining the son. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. Aham bija pradhapitaha. And therefore, he is responsible for maintaining them. This is also confirmed in the Vedas. Eko bahunamyo vidadhati kaman. Although God is one, he maintains all living entities with their necessities of life. The living entities in different forms are sons of the Lord, and therefore the Father, the Supreme Lord, supplies them food according to their different bodies. The small ant is supplied a grain of sugar, and the elephant is supplied tons of food, but everyone is able to eat. Therefore, there is no question of overpopulation. Because the Father Krishna is fully opulent, there is no scarcity of food. And because there is no scarcity, the propaganda of overpopulation is only a myth. Actually, one suffers for want of food when material nature, under the order of the Father, refuses to supply him food. It is the living entity's position that determines whether food will be supplied or not. When a deceased person is forbidden to eat, this does not mean that there is scarcity of food. Rather, the deceased person requires the treatment of not being supplied with food. In Bhagavad Gita 7:10, the Lord also says, "Bijam mam sarva bhutanam." I am the seed of all living entities. A particular type of seed is sown within the earth, and then a particular type of tree or plant comes out. The mother resembles the earth, and when a particular type of seed is sown by the father, a particular type of body takes birth. So here, we see that the Bhagavatam is quickly going through this entire narration because it wants to get to Krishna in the 10th canto soon. But the Mahabharata actually elaborates this section of Dushmanta and Shakuntala. So there is no reason given for why Dushmanta actually didn't come to get her back. He said, "I'll come back. I'll have to go to take care of the affairs of the kingdom. I have to, and then I'll come and get you back," because they both loved each other and they got married. And then for some reason he never came back. And when the son was born and the son was old enough, Kanva Muni told Shakuntala that it is not good to separate the wife from the husband and the son from the husband. So now he asked his disciples to take Shakuntala to the court of Maharaj Dushmanta. And he didn't accept her when they came and said, "This is my son. This is your son." And Prabhupada says in the previous purport that Maharaj Dushmanta knew that Shakuntala and the boy were his own wife and son. So it is not that he didn't know. In the previous verse, text 20's purport, he says Maharaj Dushmanta knew. And he didn't recognize them because he wanted to give legitimacy to the son. Because people would not believe. Even if he had accepted the wife, the Mahabharata says because he wanted to give legitimacy to the son, he didn't really accept it in public because he didn't want to think that anybody could come to the kingdom and claim that this is my son and this is your wife. And when this happened, something extraordinary happened. When Maharaj Dushmanta actually rejected his wife and son, a voice from above spoke, which is this verse and the next verse. And it clearly said that, "Dushmanta, this is your son. And you're actually insulting Shakuntala by saying, I don't know who you are, I don't know whose son this is." It's actually very insulting to a woman when that happens, right? When you're legitimately married and when you have a legitimate offspring and yet the father actually completely rejects. And the voice spoke because of some extraordinary quality that Shakuntala had. This is the power that Shakuntala had. Although Maharaj Dushmanta was very, very powerful. Shakuntala had another extreme power, which was her chastity. It is said that because of Shakuntala's chastity is by the voice from above spoke, to make sure that Dushmanta knew that this was his son, this was his wife. And then he gladly accepted the both of them in the next section, and then Maharaj Bharat becomes the king. But here it speaks about the responsibilities of a father in this verse, because this happens very, very often in the times that we live in, right? People get together, but when they have to take up the responsibility, then they basically reject it. We have so many fatherless homes in the times that we live in. It was never a thing. In the olden times, there would be a fatherless home if the father was dead. When the father was alive, there was no question of the father rejecting the family, because it is said that the actual responsibility for the son lies with the father, because the father is from whom the son is created. The mother is like the container. The mother creates the body of the child, but it is the father who is actually placing the living entity in the body of the child. Right? This is why it is said here that a son actually belongs to his father, whereas the mother is only a container, like the skin of a bellows. It doesn't mean that the mother doesn't have a great role in the upbringing of a child, but the primary responsibility of a child lies with the father, because without the father, the child cannot be created, because the seed comes from the father. The living entity is actually transferred from the father. So therefore, this voice from above is saying, oh Dushmanta, it is actually your responsibility. You cannot just neglect your responsibility of the father. This is your son. And Prabhupada in this purport extends it by telling us who our actual father is. Krishna claims the responsibility, right? When the Vedas say something, Krishna actually abides by it. This is why Krishna says in the Gita, Yadyad yacharati shreshtas taddat evetaro jana. That common men follow what great men do. The actions that great men do, common men follow. So ultimately, to establish that we have to take responsibility for our actions in this world, Krishna demonstrates it. And he claims that I am the father of everybody. Prabhupada quotes this verse. This is a very famous verse from the Gita, right? He says, Aham bija pradapitaha. That I am the seed-giving father. And the mother in that situation is whom? Do you know this verse? This is Tesham Brahma Mahadyonir. This material energy of the Lord is the mother. And the Lord impregnates the material energy, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti, just by his seeing. And this is how the living entities are impregnated into the material world. So the father, original seed-giving father, is Krishna. And just because he created the living entities, he just didn't leave them alone. Right? Prabhupada is giving this example of how even an ant gets its food and the elephant gets its food. The requirements are completely the polar opposites. Right? The ant might need a few grains of food, whereas the elephant needs hundreds of pounds of food a day. And yet, Krishna, being the father, doesn't neglect anybody. He provides for everybody. He maintains everybody. This is the point that Prabhupada is making. That Krishna ultimately is taking responsibility for his creation. So similarly, in our own ways, we have to take responsibility for our creation. We cannot just say, oh, I've had my enjoyment, I don't want to take responsibility. This is why Arjuna didn't want to fight the battle. One of the reasons that he gives is that this population that arises as a result is called Varna Shankara. It actually creates havoc in the society. When Arjuna gives this argument to Krishna, he says, in the battle, all the men will be killed, right? And the women will not have any protection. And when the women don't have any protection, unscrupulous men will exploit them. And when such exploitation happens, you get progeny in this world that are unwanted. This unwanted progeny is called a Varna Shankara. When such unwanted progeny are created in this world becomes a miserable place. And Prabhupada also is talking about this point which is very popular now, in terms of, at least a few years back it was popular. Now actually we want more people to have kids. Especially in Europe, the population ratio is going so low that they say Europe as we know now will not be there 50 years from now or 60 years from now, because you need at least a ratio of 2.1 or something like that to sustain your culture. But at least in China 30 years back this was a problem, right? They had a one-child policy. They wanted to curb population because they thought this was becoming a big problem. But Prabhupada is very clear in this purport saying this is not really a problem, because the earth has unlimited resources, because it is coming from Krishna. The father of everybody is Krishna, and he is very, very opulent. He can provide for everybody. There is no such thing as scarcity of food. And yet, Prabhupada gives the argument that people might ask also, is that if that is the case, then why do we have scarcity? And some locations have scarcity of food, some locations don't have scarcity of food. Why is this happening if overpopulation is not really a problem? Then Prabhupada explains so nicely this example that he gives, where just because when somebody is deceased and he is prohibited from having something doesn't mean that there is no availability of that food. He is prohibited from having it because that disease needs to be cured. So Krishna, when his sons and daughters don't behave properly, has to bring them to the right way, stops giving them resources. We see that in the Bhagavatam when King Vena was the king of this world, right? When adharma prevails, then Mother Earth stops giving us her bounty. And then Maharaj Prithu had to come and re-establish dharma. And this is in fact one of the reasons why Krishna comes again and again and again, because Mother Earth is very, very dear to him. Mother Earth is his own consort. And every time she is under problem, Krishna comes to protect her. As Varahadev, he comes. As Krishna, he comes. Every single time he says, when the earth is burdened by adharma, I come to protect it. And in fact, Mother Earth is so close to Krishna that every single second that he is present in this world, he gives her his association. If you see Krishna, in the morning, the Gopas would have his association, and the Gopis would feel great separation. And in the night, the Gopis would have his association, and the Gopas would feel great separation. But when Krishna leaves the planet in the first canto, Mother Earth laments on how his footprints were always touching her every single second when Krishna was present. So Krishna adjusts things when his sons and daughters don't behave properly, or in this case, have disease, like Prabhupada says, right? We have to be cured of our diseases. So we have to think. So that is why Krishna stops Mother Earth from giving riches in some place, and then he gives abundantly in another place. So these are some of the general ideas that Prabhupada is speaking in this purport. But the main thing that these two verses are focusing, I wanted to speak a little bit about, are the quality of Shakuntala that she had, right? Which is why the unembodied voice actually spoke. This is actually a very, very important quality that Prabhupada says is in a woman. Two qualities Prabhupada says. Do you know what these two qualities? Prabhupada says give great power to a woman. Chastity. The other one? Shyness. Yeah. Chastity and shyness, Prabhupada says. In fact, I wanted to read a few sections from the purports of... so this is Canto 4, text 26, chapter 26, text 16. This is the section from the Puranjana chapters that we read. It is said in this purport, let's see. So, okay, this is 4, 26, 16. If you want to pull that up. Yeah, you can go down to a paragraph that starts with herein. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, herein we see that King Puranjana was searching after his good wife, who always helped him out of the dangerous situations that always occur in material existence. As already explained, a real wife is Dharma Patni. That is, a woman accepted in marriage by ritualistic ceremony is called Dharma Patni, which signifies that she is accepted in terms of religious principles. Children born of a Dharma Patni inherit the property of the father, but children born of a woman who is not properly married do not inherit the father's property. The word Dharma Patni also refers to a chaste wife. A chaste wife is one who never had any connection with men before her marriage. Once a woman is given the freedom to mingle with all kinds of men in her youth, it is very difficult for her to keep chaste. When butter is brought into proximity of fire, it melts. The woman is like fire and man is like the butter. But if one gets a chaste wife, accepted through a religious marriage ritual, she can be of great help when one is threatened by the many dangerous situations of life. Actually, such a wife can become the source of all good intelligence. With such a good wife, the family's engagement in devotional service of the Lord actually makes a home a grihasthashrama, or household dedicated to spiritual cultivation. So Prabhupada in this purport says how a chaste woman can be a great source of intelligence to the man. This is the power that comes with chastity, Prabhupada is saying. And here he says, such a wife is called a Dharma Patni. In this case, Shakuntala was a Dharma Patni, according to the definition that Prabhupada is giving. Because this was a marriage that was conducted according to the proper ritualistic ceremonies. The marriage can be done of 8 types, and one of them is the Gandharva way of marriage, which is how Shakuntala and Dushmanta got married. So their marriage was done properly. They did it according to the ritualistic ceremonies. And when the wife is chaste, and Prabhupada says one has to train the women in chastity, and that when that training happens, then such a woman can be a great source of intelligence to man. In fact, Prabhupada goes as far as to say, she can be of great help when one is threatened by the many dangerous situations of life. So actually, the woman becomes a great source of power and intelligence to the man when she has this quality of chastity. In fact, my spiritual master used to say a few years back, even few decades back in America, girls would be named chastity. But now this word itself is completely, like, nobody knows what this word means in the West. It's a very archaic word. And yet, this quality is emphasized so greatly in women. And it is because of this chastity that Shakuntala had, is that the unembodied voice actually spoke. Which is remarkable, right? How many of us can have somebody who come and speak for us? It's a very incredible situation that happened with Shakuntala. So this is one aspect that Prabhupada speaks of. And the other section that I wanted to read was from 1:9:27. So this is Bhishma Dev speaking to Yudhishthir Maharaj about the different varnas and ashramas. And, I lost the... Yeah. And this is as far as the women class are concerned. That's how the paragraph starts, if you want to pull that up. Yeah. It's a long purport actually. Yeah. One more. The next paragraph. Yeah. So Prabhupada writes in this section, he says, as far as the women class are concerned, they are accepted as a power of inspiration for men. As such, women are more powerful than men. Mighty Julius Caesar was controlled by a Cleopatra. Such powerful women are controlled by shyness. Therefore, shyness is important for women. Once this control valve is loosened, women can create havoc in society by adultery. Adultery means production of unwanted children, known as Varna Shankara, who disturb the world. So Prabhupada gives another incredible quality of women. One is they can actually protect men from great danger. He says in the previous purport that we read. And here he says women are more powerful than men. And therefore, as a result of it, he says they are accepted as a power of inspiration for men. So how this inspiration comes is through these two qualities of shyness and chastity. When these qualities in women are lost, then there is very easy intermingling of men and women, and there is no responsibility that is taken. And Prabhupada says, as a result of such intermingling between men and women, this population called as Varna Shankara are produced. And these two qualities are so important for women that actually we might think men are powerful, right? Like physically at least. But Prabhupada says women are more powerful than men in the purport that we read. That power is not a physical power. And we can see through the chastity, throughout the pages of Bhagavatam, we've read this. Right in the first canto, we see how Gandhari was so powerful. She was so chaste to her husband that she closed her eyes. Because Dhritarashtra was blind, Gandhari said, my husband is blind, I also don't want to see anything in this world. And as a result of that, she had accumulated so much power that she could make Duryodhan's body steel-like. Right? The only time she opened her eyes was to see her son Duryodhan, and his body became so powerful. And we also see that she left to the forest when Dhritarashtra went to the forest after Vidura spoke to him, right? He said, what are you doing here? You're trying to kill these people for such a long time, and now you're eating their food. Your maintenance of this body has become so important to you that you've forgotten everything. This is not your goal of life. Go to the forest and then perform devotional service. So Gandhari went along and then attained liberation, it is said, along with Dhritarashtra. Another example that we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we've already read is Devahuti with Kardama Muni, right? She was so chaste and serving Kardama Muni so nicely that she begot Kapila as her son as a result of it. And she got to hear directly from the Supreme Personality himself. This was the power of her chastity, that she was able to beget the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself as her son. And we see in the case of 4th canto, Sati, the word Sati means chaste. How chaste she was to Lord Shiva. Right? And then in the 9th canto, we see Mother Sita, with the epitome of chastity. And we see how all these women were so powerful, not in the sense that we see power in the times that we live in. We want power to be so gross and so external. But yet, these women had actually extreme power. This power came from their quality of character, of chastity and shyness. This is one aspect of it. But at the same time, this purport says the boys also have to be trained. The men also have to take responsibility, which is how things will work properly. If women have the quality of shyness and chastity, the men have the character and the quality of responsibility and maintenance. Prabhupada says in this purport. The men cannot just come and have the relationship with women and abandon them. Which is why women are in the situation that they are in. They have to fight alone in this world, battle in this world. It is the responsibility, Prabhupada says, is of the men to create this environment of peace at home, where the women and children are provided with everything. That is the responsibility of men, right? And he quotes Krishna, how Krishna is actually doing it. And in our own small ways, we also have to do it. We cannot neglect that responsibility and say, oh, I just don't want to take responsibility. And because of such thought process, we have so many problems that happen in this world, right? There is no role model of men for kids in their homes, and then they grow into Varna Shankaras, basically. It is not the mistake of the child, it is actually the mistake of the man at the house who is not taking that responsibility. So it goes two ways. When this perfect combination happens, then there is incredible synergy that happens in the house. And when that incredible synergy happens, such a platform can be used to serve Krishna. This is the point. The point is not just to become fathers or just to become mothers and to have mundane responsibilities. But the ultimate responsibility of both the father and the mother is to actually take the child closer to Krishna, to create an environment in the house where the child can actually serve the Lord. The family can actually serve the Lord together. This is the ultimate purpose of Grihasashrama. Right? There is a license for sense enjoyment, but that is not the only reason why Grihastha is present. That Prahlad Maharaj says is Griha Medi. Yan mai tunadi Griha Medi Sukam Hitucham. If it is actually an ashrama, then there is actually worship of the Supreme Lord present in that ashrama. But for that to happen, these qualities have to be present. This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. And in this case, Dushmanta was actually neglecting his responsibility. He didn't want to take responsibility for his wife or the son. But because of this incredible character that Shakuntala had, there is a voice that spoke from above that actually had to tell Dushmanta that don't insult her. This is actually very insulting to a woman. The Mahabharata actually gives a big section where Shakuntala becomes very, very angry at what's happening. Because this is your own husband who is rejecting you. And especially saying, I don't know whose son this is. This is very, very insulting to a woman. And she gets so angry, so fiery. And this huge section happens. And then this embodied voice speaks, and then Dushmanta pacifies her, saying, I didn't want to accept it because initially, although I knew, Prabhupada says in the purport, because I wanted people also to know that this is a legitimate son of mine, so that he can become the king. This is at least what the Mahabharata says. But then you have this Kalidas version that adds more drama to it, because it is a poetry, dramatization of this particular incident. It's not really Shastra, it is his own imagination of how things happen. But at least our primary source for these incidents comes from the Mahabharata, and that's what the Mahabharata says, how this incident happened at least. Before concluding, it says, the next verse, text 22, says the duty of a son to the father. Right? In this text 21, it says the duty of a father to a son is to maintain the son. And text 22, it says that he who discharges semen is the actual father, and his son saves him from the custody of Yamaraj. This is why he's called Putra. So Put is a hellish planet that the ancestors can go to if the sons and the descendants don't perform their duties properly. Or if they have fallen down, they can go to this hellish planet called Put. And it is the duty of the son to actually save his ancestors from the hellish planet. This is why he is called Putra. And in that purport, Prabhupada writes, because a son delivers his father from punishment in the hell called Put, the son is called Putra. So this is the normal Vedic framework, right? Where the son's duty is to actually protect the father from the hellish planet called Put, even though if he might have committed activities that would take him there. But the actual responsibility, like we spoke of the father and the mother, the actual responsibility of a son is to actually deliver their parents, which is what Prahlad Maharaj does. Right? Narsinghadev promises Prahlad Maharaj that because of you, 14 generations, or I don't know, 21 generations, I forget the exact number, 14 generations or 21 generations will be liberated. This is the actual responsibility of a son or a daughter. Is through performance of devotional service, you not just save your ancestors from the hellish planet known as Put, but actually save them from their entire material existence, where the children can actually deliver the parents from this world. So the responsibility goes both ways, where the parents are trying to give Krishna consciousness and the environment for the children to practice devotional service at home, and at the same time the children practice incredible devotional service that they deliver their parents as well. So it is such a nice holistic view that the Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us, where the men have to take responsibility, the women have to develop a character, and in such an environment we can actually have a home where devotional service can be performed very, very powerfully. Prabhupada says purity is the force. Right? It is through this that we can perform devotional service to a great extent and then deliver everybody. So I'll stop here and see if there are any discussions or thoughts, comments, corrections.
Hare Krishna, Srinath Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice class and bringing up so many thought-provoking points. The first one I was really appreciating in the translation of the verse. It says, "Women are like bellows," and it was not settling so well. But then when Prabhupada gives the example of Mother Earth,
Yeah.
getting the seed from Krishna, and you have so many different types of plants and trees,
Yeah.
and so that parallel then really settles well, that it is the seed of the Father,
Yeah.
that you can see even in our children, there's like they have different tendencies, different natures, so that example really sits well. There was, I read somewhere that King Dushyanta forgot Shakuntala
Yeah.
because of the curse of Durvasa Muni. Is that bona fide?
This comes from Kalidasa, from his work of Abhigyana Shakuntala. It's a classic Indian poetry. So the work itself is regarded greatly because of his mastery of literature and things like that. But I was reading the critical edition of Mahabharata yesterday, and that doesn't really say any reason for why he didn't come and get her back. For dramatization, he gives this example where she is not serving Durvasa Muni properly, and he curses her, saying she'll forget. Your husband will forget you. But she apologizes to him, and then he says, if he touches something that he gave you, which basically is a ring that he.
Ring.
So all this is not mentioned really in the Mahabharata.
Because it makes sense that it's because here Prabhupada is saying he didn't forget, he knew.
Yeah.
But he wanted to make it known publicly that she is my wife, and so that makes a lot of sense. But that, like you said, the other example is so kind of well known.
Yeah.
And to that I was thinking, if we are following chronologically, Durvasa Muni just had cursed Maharaj Ambarish and got so much trouble. Why is he cursing again? But I guess we don't have.
We don't know if it's parallel, like chronological, right? It's happening, but it's many generations back, right? Ambarish, and then this is Bharata, like.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, like, but he saw the thing.
Yeah.
He has this tendency of cursing. But then again, if it is not. We don't accept that, so then it's out of the picture.
Yeah, it's a well-known story, but it comes from Kalidasa's work, and he takes inspiration of this incident for his work, but then dramatizes it by adding more things. But I didn't see that in the Mahabharata, nor does the Srimad Bhagavatam say it on why he forgot. There is no reason given. Yes.
So this concept of ancestors being in the Pitraloka, and then, you refer to even Krishna Arjuna saying, if we don't Varna Sankara, then our ancestors fall. So how are we to understand that our ancestors are in the heaven, in the Pitraloka, and the other concept of, when we leave our bodies, we take another body. So why do they just go there and stay there and not in the cycle that we're in?
Yeah, it's not a one-to-one mapping. It's a archetype, so to speak. So there is a place where your grandfather might be there, or my grandfather. We don't know for sure exactly that ancestor might be there, but it's just a representation of the ancestors that go there, which is why we offer the pinda every year, right? For Shraddha ceremony. The ancestor might have taken birth again, but it is representative of the lineage. So one of our ancestors might have been there, or the representative of our ancestors are there in the Pitraloka. So it might not be that exactly our one-to-one mapping ancestors might be there, or we have taken so many lives, one of our ancestors might be there.
So they're like stuck there?
Yeah, for a period of time. Then they take birth again, but it's like a transitionary period before they take another body. Yeah, it's a very painful situation. They're dependent on the food that we offer every year as Shraddha in that planet. So which is why if that is not offered, they curse. That's the one time in the year that they get food and they neglect. Mahaprabhu did it, right? He went to Gaya when his father left for the Shraddha ceremony of his father. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Srinath Krishna. Very nice.
Thank you.
Very, very succinct class about chastity and shyness. I'm seeing that unless there's chastity and shyness in regard to Krishna consciousness, in other words, chaste to Guru and Krishna.
Yes.
So I believe that's like the source.
Yes.
And so if we're having trouble, understanding all those things, that's actually
Yeah, that's such a nice point. Ultimately, this is what Sharanagati is every single one of us has to have to be chaste to Krishna. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Right? This is Krishna's ask, is that you only surrender to me. I cannot have faith in multiple people. This chastity is faithfulness, right? So this is Krishna's ultimate ask, is that you be faithful to me and I'll take care of you. So it's such a nice point. It ultimately reflects in our Krishna consciousness, this quality of chastity. And that goes through our spiritual master, right? For Prabhupada and our own spiritual masters. Yeah, thank you. That's for extending it. So nice. Yes, Lalita Sundari.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice class. You covered the complete circle, duties of father, mother, child, everything. My question was on your recent comment now that even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to do the samskaras.
Yeah.
But we always read that once we become Vaishnavas, we are not obligated to any of these rituals. So how to understand that? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did, but then we always hear that we are not obligated. All those things are already taken care in devotional service.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, one thought was maybe it comes only when we become pure devotees. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was above all this anyway. So can you explain?
So one reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does it is to set an example for the society, right? Like Krishna always says this: if I don't do it, world will go to ruination. So they'll take example. Oh, Krishna himself didn't do it. So even devotees even people who are not devotees will quote it, right? Already they do it. Like Krishna didn't do this, Krishna didn't do it, so why should I do it? They easily compare. So Krishna did it. Another internal reason why it says Mahaprabhu did it is he wanted to meet Ishwarapuri. That was the main reason he went to Gaya. That's where he met his spiritual master, Ishwarapuri. So that's one way of seeing what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. The other way of seeing is how far are we in terms of our Sharanagati? So if we are completely like 100% performing devotional service, then Krishna will take care of everything. But if we are practicing and we are not there yet, we have to perform these things that Krishna says, which will actually help us. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, such things should never, charity, austerity, and one more thing he says, penances, sacrifices, charity. Even for great souls, they should continue doing it, Krishna says. We should not neglect these. These general things that are given in the Shastra, we have to do it. But we do it from the perspective of Krishna consciousness, which is what makes it different from how others do it. They're doing it to save their father or mother or just as a matter of duty or their ancestors from. But we are doing it to please Vishnu, right? Yajñartat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanat. That we do everything is a sacrifice to Vishnu. So when this activity is performed like that, it becomes devotional service, right? It's not a separate karma kanda activity where we are offering pinda. Actually, Prabhupada says we are offering that to Lord Vishnu. And that goes as prasad to the ancestors when such an activity is performed. So it's basically that way. If it's part of our culture growing up, and if we are not 100% there yet, I think we should continue doing it. We should not neglect it.
Yes. So, and my other question is, especially these days when I went to India, I have this feeling like, these ritualistic ceremonies are now performed by Brahmanas who don't have a proper sadhana, or I feel like they're just doing, like reciting mantra just for the sake of it, they're just done.
True.
Kind of thing. So, but our mood is, if we imbibe the mood you mentioned, but the person who is performing is not in the right mood.
Yeah.
Do you think it still works? Should we still continue to do it?
We should employ a good devotee to do these activities. It should, if a devotee does this, it's much better. Instead of randomly calling anybody, because what you say is true. If their character is not proper and if they are doing things, then how will Krishna be pleased? So we should make sure that we are doing it from a proper person. And there are people. It's not that the world doesn't have these people. As much as the world has improper people, there are also proper people who have been upholding dharma, right? It's there. That's why the Mother Earth is still there. When that collapses, Kalki will come. But we have a long way to go for that. It's just the beginning. So we still have vestiges of dharma left from the Dwapara Yuga. Yeah. Any other? Yes, Mr. Bhagwan Bro.
In the last class, the classes on Bhagavatam
Yes.
for the last few months have been this lineup of Srimad Bhagavatam's like supermodels, Mohini Murti and Urvasi and Menuka and I'll, in the descriptions, when the men see these ladies, they're going wild.
Yeah.
But the girls are just cool as cucumbers, like Mohini Murti was mentioned that she was just in her own mood, and there's all these men that are just going crazy over.
Yeah.
Or like Rukmini, when Rukmini was a teenager, if men would see her just walking along, then there was this force that just knocked them off their horses. So is that what we're talking about, how women are more powerful than men, is that there's some kind of like Shakti that they emanate, that, all these incidents, like Urvasi, King Puruva chased her all over the world, he was just completely obsessed in her. When he finally catches up to her, she's like, I'm not really sure if you should be making your friends with women, I give it up.
Yeah,
So,
in this case, at least what you've been describing, the power of the women comes from the mentality of men to enjoy them. Right? They're not treating them with respect. They're looking at them as objects of sense gratification. Then it becomes a big problem. Mohini Murti is a completely different category altogether because it was Supreme Lord himself. But with every other case, the mentality of looking at that woman was, how can I enjoy? Which is what gives that power. Right? When we are in that state of extreme lust, then our intelligence is lost and we do crazy things. Yeah, it goes the same way for the women also. If they are looking at each other as objects of sense gratification, men and women, which is what the world is right now, right? They're looking at each other as objects of sense gratification. How can I enjoy the other person? And then I don't want any responsibility after that. So that's where that power comes from. That it's the external energy of Krishna that creates that incredible power of the sense gratification. Is that okay? Okay, we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha kalpatarubhyasya, Kripa sindubhye vacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Jai, jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
सनातन रघुजुग श्री चारणै सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं करो विचारणैकनुगुणा धर्म समस्तापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां